Hey, Mouse1 here. Welcome back to the Devlog series for A Farmer's Life, the farming game that I am making in Scratch. I'm finally getting into adding some new features to my game with a focus on giving the player a bit of guidance in a game with an ever-growing list of things to do. The first way I'm doing this is through a tasks system, so that the player has at least a vague notion of what to do next or what they're working towards, especially in the early game. I started by creating the icon and the title to get to the tasks list, the icon being a notepad, and I got everything laid out as I wanted it. I then created all of the art for the task list page. Each task needed a title, a short description of what you needed to do, and to tell you the monetary reward for completing it. When it came to selecting what things have an associated task, I generally wanted the tasks to introduce players to new aspects of the game. So there's a task for researching water retention, because that's the first thing that I expect people to research. There's a task for buying a furnace, because that's the cheapest workspace, and so on. I also create icons to signify whether a task is new or if you've completed it. I then get the task list to generate and display properly when you click onto the tab. I wasn't sure going into it exactly how I was going to do this, and after a little trial and error, I settled on creating a list where each task is represented by a code. The task runs through this code list and determines whether each task has been unlocked and creates clones as appropriate. It's also able to determine whether a task is new or complete and display the appropriate text icon. A new task remains new until the player either mouse overs the task, or if the player opens and then closes the task tab once the task has been unlocked. And I make it so that clicking the complete task removes it from the list and gives the player the appropriate reward. The reward is pulled from another list where the reward's position in said list corresponds to the task's position. I then coded the first task, first crop. This task gets the player to grow and harvest 10 wheat plants to introduce them to the farming part of the game. I just had to run a check whenever wheat gets harvested to see if a task is active and to update the task's code on the task list as appropriate. And after a little testing and bug fixing, I got the task number 1 working as intended. I then took a detour to make the task icon flash if you have a new or completed task to grab the player's attention. I made it so that when you finish the first task, 2 more unlock. These get the player to research water retention and buy a furnace respectively. I also had to make it so that the task defaults to done if the player had already done the task before they unlock it. I then actually got the water retention task working and fixed a small bug that stopped the task icon from glowing. And I then sorted the next task, buying a furnace. And this task leads directly into the next, smelting 5 copper bars. And the final task in this little chain, upgraded, requires you to upgrade any tool. I then switched back to the other task thread. After you research water retention, you're tasked to research fruit trees. Then you're asked to make 10 jam, which I was able to repurpose some of the code from the copper bar task. And the final task is to buy a keg. Taco King 112 on Scratch requested that I add in a tutorial, so I created a how to play tab. I created an icon for this, a question mark, and got that working. And then it was a whole lot of art and text manipulation as I created the help pages. Are massive text dumps far and away the laziest form of tutorial possible? Yes, absolutely. But I honestly couldn't think of anything else I could do. Seriously, if you have any ideas for cool diegetic tutorials, let me know, because I had 0 ideas, and this is, let's be honest, kinda lame. It's not much better than the instructions in the actual instruction box on the project page, but at least there are some images now, and it's actually part of the project, not in a box off to the side. And if you're okay with this method of tutorial, are there any elements of the game that you feel need a tutorial that I didn't outline here? I did pages on movement and object interaction, what different tools do, how to navigate the inventory, how to craft, and how to farm. I tried to cherry pick systems that were slightly convoluted or might be baffling to a new player, but as the one who designed everything, it's hard to see past my own experience and think as a newbie. I was also completely making these pages up on the fly. I had no clue what they'd look like, what they'd say, or how they'd be laid out until I made them, so I might have missed something or important that I haven't noticed. Once I finished the art for the pages, I also had to make arrows that allow you to flip between them. I then got the page laid out, which was super easy. They're just static pages that you can flick through without any real interaction. I also created something to say what page you're on to better indicate that the arrows change the page. And I had a little bit of time left, but I didn't want to commit to any major features, so I just gave the shop some background art. With the new, more detailed style, the plain backgrounds looked really odd, so I wanted to create some environments for them. I really didn't have any sort of plan for these backgrounds, like I didn't sketch them out or anything, and was completely making them up on the fly. Still, I was really happy with how they came out, except for maybe the blacksmith. That one feels like it's kinda lacking, and I might go back and revamp it at some point, but for now it's good enough, and I don't have any ideas off the top of my head. But that's all I got done for this devlog, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I went a bit more in depth into my process this time. Let me know if you prefer this style in the comments, and I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!